What is Nirvana? Nirvana in Sanskrit literally means to blow out or extinguish. In Buddhism, Nirvana is described as the ultimate state of enlightenment, when the individual has fully extinguished his fires of desires. Now let us start with a little context. In Buddhism, suffering is fundamentally present in all sentient beings, and therefore, the sole goal and orientation of Buddhism is to eliminate all forms of suffering. Once the objective is met, Buddhists will reach the highest point of comprehension and position, known as Nirvana. So what are the causes of suffering? Buddhists understand that there are four noble truths which dictate the process of suffering. One must understand these four truths before he or she can proceed on the path to Nirvana. The first noble truth is the fundamental concept of suffering. Verily, all conditional phenomena and experiences are not ultimately satisfying. Suffering is aptly defined as impeded volition. Being a sentient being, we are innately deficient in all aspects. We need to act on the things found in our world to feed these desires. For example, we need food to satisfy hunger, we fidget to dispel discomfort, or compete to attain personal glory. Buddhism summarizes three main desires which are fundamentally existent in all beings: the desire for sensual pleasure, the desire for continuation of pleasure, and the desire for discontinuation of pain. Anything done against our wishes is dissatisfaction, and this dissatisfaction leads to suffering. This leads us to the second noble truth, which is the rising of suffering, a simple and instinctive truth. When we want something and enjoy the benefits of having it, we can develop an attachment for it. This craving and yearning is the basis of suffering. Bringing us to the third noble truth, the annihilation of suffering. Since mental attachment to an entity results in suffering, it is clear that removing this form of attachment will prevent suffering. And therefore, the last noble truth, the path to the annihilation of suffering, teaches us how to do this. In more technical terms, this method or path is termed as the Noble Eightfold Path, which are categorized in three basic divisions, spanning the 8 factors. Right view, know the truth. Right intention, freeing your mind from evil, falling in the division of wisdom. Right speech, not using hurtful language. Right action, working for the good of others. Right livelihood, respecting life, falling in the division of ethical conduct. Right effort, resist any forms of evil. Right concentration, practicing meditation. And right mindfulness, controlling your thoughts, falling in the division of concentration. Comprehending and considering these factors before any form of karma is committed will put one on the middle way, or the path to liberation and ultimately nirvana. Of course, attaining nirvana is not as simple as simply understanding these truths. It is the practice and conditioning of the mind which makes one worthy of attaining nirvana. As Buddhism states, life and death and rebirth are all but a spontaneous process. The concept of impermanence and non-self, the main overarching ideas of Buddhism, are what drives the Buddhist to ultimate realization that nothing in this world is constant and everlasting, and therefore it is pointless to develop attachments to things, for their eventual disappearance will only lead to suffering. And that being is not a form of existence, but just a perception that we exist. It is ignorance which compels us to question our existence when we in fact do not. And this action of desire to know, which will lead to more suffering. Once these two qualities are understood, Buddhists realize that birth and rebirth are all but a cycle of suffering, and nirvana is the leaving of this cycle, forever free from suffering. It is, however, important to note that nirvana can be attained while a person is still living, where one is free from mental desires but still subjected to physical suffering. The term parinirvana is therefore reserved for the perfect enlightenment, where one is completely free from all forms of suffering and leaves the cycle of birth and rebirth.